Damn, we're getting into some deep conversation with this one.
0, 1. Let's get started.
Hey lovelies, welcome back to episode, oh my gosh, 3, I think? Yeah, episode 3. This is so weird. I'm refilming this one for the second time because the first one I rambled for probably 30 minutes straight. This is really testing my ADHD because I look back and I'm editing it and I'll be in the middle of a full, explanation of something, and then halfway through the explanation, I'll just stop and stare at a wall and completely forget what I was talking about. So it makes editing a great joy for me. I can already see the improvement being made between each episode. I like the second episode even more than I like the first. And so I'm excited to see where this goes because I'm liking this setup a bit more already. It's going to keep improving as we go on, trust. This bun is giving freshman hairstyle, which is kind of fitting for today because I was going to take a little trip down memory lane with y'all back to high school to start it off. I don't really know how to immediately click into a deep conversation, so I'm just going to try and dive into whatever. Taking us back there to freshman year of high school was such a weird portion of my life because I grew up in a private school that was really outdoorsy and creative. I think that's where I get my mindset for everything because I'm not an academic person in any way, shape, or form. I do not excel in the academics, but when it comes to creativity, that's where I thrive. That's my source of happiness, I need to be creative and I need to do anything that will stem my creativity for me to excel in anything. And I think that really stemmed from growing up at that school. But I went from 10 kids in my grade to a public school with 200 kids in my grade, and that was a switch, and I went down the wrong path. Maybe not the wrong path because it brought me to where I am now. So it was the right path for me overall, but at the time, I look back on the things that I did in high school, and I'm genuinely concerned. I don't know what went through my head. I got myself into mess after mess after mess. I was self-sabotaging the whole time. Overall, I would mix myself in with, the wrong groups or just get involved in really weird situations that I look back on now and I'm like, how did I even, survive that, to be honest? It was a troubling time, but at the same time, high school was such a blast. I know I would never go back to high school if I had the option. I am way more happy with where I am and who I am now, but being in high school, I just remember feeling so grown, and now I look back on myself and I'm like, what were you thinking in any of the situations that you were in? I don't know what my brain process or the thoughts behind the actions that I did were. There's a good amount of people in high school that I don't talk to anymore that I cut off for that reason. But with that being said, that kind of stems into what I was thinking about earlier today. I was thinking about how whenever I'm sad or upset, I tend to draw myself closer to people that aren't good for me because those are the people that I feel the safest with, which doesn't make much sense to someone with a normal brain. I think the reasoning for that is because I'm not myself with them. So if I'm with someone that isn't necessarily a good person for me to be around, I'm not myself. Therefore, they can't hurt me because they only see one side of me. I've always been a very, what's the word? I love love. I love love. But the people that I would talk to in high school, I would not portray that side of me to them. I don't know if they saw through it or what. I don't know if any of them saw through it. I don't really think they did because I would just put that front up to be you can't hurt me, because I was so scared of getting hurt that I wouldn't allow anyone to get that close to me, especially with guys. It always tends to be like that. Damn, we're getting into some deep conversation with this one. But yeah, it's usually with men that I won't let them see the truth, the like real side of me. With guys in high school and even now, I don't like opening up to them fully. I don't technically feel safe around men. I think that's I think that's very relatable though, because men are scary. I laugh when I'm nervous, and this is a nervous conversation for me to be putting out on the internet, but I'm gonna do it anyway because I think it'll help people. I think these are the types of things that I want to be sharing, even though they are the most uncomfortable for me to be sharing. So the people that I talk to when I'm upset, when I start spiraling and I start not treating myself with kindness and I start going into a hole, and when I'm in that hole and I feel stuck and I feel like no one can help me or whatever, and I'm just like, I'm on my own, I'm my own person, then those are the times that I gravitate towards people that aren't really good for me. I appreciate every single person that I've ever been friends with or talked to or whatever in their own way. Like, someone once told me that you have to love all of your exes, and in a way I do. I think I liked the way that she explained it. I don't like saying that because that's gross, but in a way it makes sense, because not love them or like be in love with anyone, but like love the version of yourself that you were with them, because it's really hard to look back on yourself when you were with someone that you didn't love or didn't appreciate or wasn't good to you, and it's really hard to look back on yourself in those moments and reflect on yourself in those moments, because you can't believe that you put up with something like that. You can't believe that you allowed someone to talk to you like that, or you allowed someone to treat you like that, and it's a weird thing to grasp your mind around. But if anything, it just shows growth and it shows how far you've come. But it is still hard to look back and be like, that was a version of me, and that was a part of me, and that was a part of my life. And that's really hard for me to look back on, to those times, like in high school in particular. I feel like I've, even in Hawaii a little bit, to be honest, but I really rode the single life in Hawaii, to be honest. I really embraced being alone. And that was, like I said, the best, like one of the best times of my life, because I was able to learn to love being by myself, and that is the most valuable trait that I have in myself. Sometimes now, though, I'm a little too comfortable with myself, and by that I mean that I feel like I can only be by myself, and I can only, like, I'm the only person that'll look out for me. I don't think that. I know that there's a variety of people that would do anything for me, and I would do absolutely anything for them. And for the people that I do have by me, I appreciate them more than they can even begin to know. But at the same time, no one else can really understand you the way that you do. So it's weird to be in the positions where you feel so safe being alone, and you can just be like, okay, well, what if I just stay alone the rest of my life, because you're comfortable like that, you know? But again, it always circles back to, if you're too comfortable, then you gotta do something that spices it up, because I think I'm too comfortable with myself, and I'm too comfortable being alone now, because now I always want to be alone. Like, I'll go into hibernation, and I won't talk to anyone for a good bit. If I am talking to people, it's more just like texting, maybe a FaceTime here and there, but really, like, I'll just go into hibernation and I'll just be by myself. And then I have to remind myself that having friends is important. And then I'll go hang out with my friends, and I'm like, oh, this is fun, why don't I do this more often? And I'm like, oh, and then it circles back, and then I go into hibernation again. I think that also has to do with being an extrovert versus being an introvert. I used to always think that I was an extrovert because I would thrive in situations, and don't get me wrong, I can definitely be the life of a party. Like, if you put me in the center of a room, I don't even have to know anyone there. Like, I'll make friends, I will have the time of my life. But I also need to be alone, and I need to have my space. I think I was more extroverted growing up, and I've become more introverted, but now I think of myself as an extroverted introvert. That's a lot of erts. But I can be extroverted and I can go out and I can have a blast, but I need to recharge and I need to be alone to do that. I think I was really insecure in high school as well, but it was the type of like fake it till you make it type thing. So I don't think anyone really saw me as an insecure person. I don't think I let anyone see me as an insecure person. I think that fed into my gym obsession a lot. I was in the gym, I think I said this in the first episode, but I was in the gym like 3 hours a day, every day a week at one point, and I made the gym my entire personality. Like, entire personality. Like, you don't even have to know me. The first time we talked, I would have mentioned the gym and I would have brought something up about it. Like, at the time, I was convinced that I was going to be a personal trainer, go into fitness somewhere, but it was in a really unhealthy mindset, and I didn't realize that at the time because I thought, oh, I'm going to the gym, like, I'm healthy. But I was, like, overworking my body to the core, because not only was I just in the gym, I was also going to gymnastics, and I was doing dance, and I was cheerleading, so I was always, and I wasn't, like, I just wasn't taking care of myself enough, because I thought I was taking care of myself, but I was just overworking myself constantly. I got into this weird phase thinking that it was kind of like work hard, play hard. So I was working so hard for myself and for everything, and I was also like at work in general all the time. I was making so much money, didn't know how to spend it, didn't know how to save it, was not dealing with my money correctly. Still am not dealing with my money correctly, but I was just like overworking myself to the maximum. And then I moved to Hawaii. There's something called island time. It just slows down time and it feels so comforting, and I'm so excited to go to Hawaii soon again and feel island time, because now living in New York, everything is like boom, 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 so fast paced, and it's so strange to go from Hawaii to New York because of that, because realizing that it's like that and just going from slow to fast is kind of a brain fuck, to be honest, but it's really interesting because of how I am able to adapt to both situations. Circling back, because I just remembered what the point of this whole episode was to be about, the most valuable people in your life are the people that will check you, and that's why it's scary to have people so close to you, because they're able to tell you when you're messing up. But the people that do check me in my life are the most valuable people that I have, because they're able to tell me when I'm in the wrong. And like last week's episode, I can be in the wrong quite a bit often, and I don't like to admit it, and sometimes I'm blind to it. I don't even realize. So the people that I have in my life now are all people that would be like, Ella, let's not do that. Or they're the people that keep me on track because they keep me in check. And I think people that I feel safe around are people that wouldn't do that. Like, they wouldn't check me or they wouldn't say anything like that. They're just there. So I can be my most insane self around them and not think twice about it, because what are they gonna do, you know? So I think that's why I tend to gravitate towards people that aren't good for me. And now I'm starting to acknowledge that and realize that that is what I'm doing, because it is a safe space. It's not, I don't like calling it a safe space, because I definitely feel a very high sense of security around the people that are close to me now that I've never felt with anyone else before. If they don't really know me, then they don't have the power to hurt me. And if they do know me, they have the power to hurt me. So now everyone that is so close to me, I love and trust beyond belief. But every single one of them could hurt me like crazy. But it's a trust thing, you know? It goes back and forth. The difference between me, like, senior year of high school and then me now is that when I was a senior in high school, I had so many ideas of where I would end up, and I was very happy to a certain extent of who I was, and I was stepping into the shoes of me, but I wasn't able to look back on my past self and acknowledge her or appreciate her. I was just I would forget a lot of things because I would block them out, and I didn't like talking about anything that had happened to me in my past, so I would always just try and forget about who I was before that and the things that had happened to me that got me to that point. And then obviously things will happen to you for the rest of your life. There's always things that are going to happen, but then to me now, I'm starting to begin to accept all the things that have happened to me instead of just sweeping them under the rug, which I still do. There's some things that have not come out from under the bed at this point in my life yet, but I like to keep them tucked away, but they're starting to peek out, you know, and I'm starting to acknowledge it, and I'm starting to embrace that is a part of me, even though I don't want it to be. Like, there's things in everyone's story that they don't want to be a part of their story. We all have our demons, we all have we all have that part of us that we don't like to acknowledge, and it's really scary, and it's really weird to know that there's parts of us that are like that, or that things have happened to us like that. In one way, I think everything happens for a reason, but I think that there are a lot of things that happen to you and there's no explanation for why it happened to you. I think that there are a lot of really weird occurrences in the world. I think everyone's story is unexplainable, and I think it's hard to completely know a person ever. I don't think you can ever really know someone inside and out, especially compared to the way that they know themselves. I think the way that we have friendships and the way that we have relationships is based on, can we accept their story in its full? You know, because everyone has a story. No one is able to read inside someone else's mind. So having your friendships and having your relationships are really based off of, do I connect with this person's story? Can I understand this person's story? How can I help this person? How can I be a part of their story, you know? And it's weird to think of things like that, especially after, you know, having your own story and being able to see your story so clearly. But what's even weirder is when you're walking on the street and you realize that every single person has a story. That trips me out. And I think about that all the time, is that, especially being in this, like, big of a city, I look at every single person around me and I'm like, every single person has their own story, and they have their own timeline, and they have all of these crazy events that have happened to them, and you don't know it. And the people that you connect with, you get to be a part of their story, and you get to learn about their story, and you get to hear more about their story. And I think that's such a beautiful thing that we get to share with each other. But it is hard to get to that point with someone where you do share your story. So I'm at that point where I'm trying to learn how to share my story and my complete story with anyone, which is, I guess, what this is me sharing my story. Take a shot for every time I said story, because that doesn't sound like a word to me anymore from the past couple sentences that I've said. But, yeah, just accepting everyone and loving everyone. And I think that's pretty cool that we get to do that, and that we're here now, and that we're all blessed to be on the same timeline with each other, because it's crazy. Like, don't even get me started on thinking about how many people there are in this world, and then thinking how small the world is. Y'all ever see those videos in science class when it was like, this is your home, and this is the Earth, and this is Jupiter, and this is the sun, and this is Beetlejuice, or whatever the fuck, and you just sit there like, and then this is our galaxy, and then this is all the galaxies, and then this is our universe, and then it's like, okay, well, what the fuck is outside of the, oh my gosh, my head is gonna spin. The more I think about space, the more I want to just, like, dive into a hole and never come out, because I'm like, what do you mean I'm actually an ant? And I feel like an ant. I always feel like an ant. Okay, the best part about feeling like an ant is that you feel like you can do whatever the fuck you want and no one's gonna judge you for it. That's what I love about living in New York, because I do really feel like an ant here. So I will skip down the street with my music in my ears, singing my song, and they'll just think I'm on crack. Like, they're not gonna think anything of it. And that is my favorite thing in the world. So, okay, I think that's enough for today, because my brain has definitely gone in circles this whole time. I hope that this episode benefited you in some way, or you were able to relate to it. And I hope that we can dive deeper into these topics later on. I feel like that was a pretty good episode. I'm excited to edit this one, which I am scared of editing all the time, but I'm kind of excited to edit this one. Okay, thank you for listening. Thank you for being so lovely and awesome and a blessing, and I'll see you next week. Bye, lovelies.